Good morning, guys. Welcome to day 78 until I am a YouTube millionaire. I wanted to talk a little bit today about the strangeness of the fact that we have not found signals, telecommunication signals from other planets thus far. The universe, as scientists can best figure, is about 13.7 billion years old. That's 13.7 times 10 to the 9th years old. Really, really old, relative to us anyway. Our solar system is about 5 billion years old, so roughly a little bit more than a third of that time frame. This solar system has been around. Earth for a little bit less than that, about 4.5 billion years or so. The numbers vary, but that's roughly what it is. The very first life on Earth was posited to be possible about 1 billion years after the Earth coalesced from the sun's accretion disk. So that means, about 3.5 billion years ago, billion years after the sun came about. And that first life started in oceans as single-celled organisms. And it took something like 2.5 billion years or so for that life to become multicellular. That was a huge leap for life to take. And when it did, it was a few 100 million years before life got onto solid land. So that whole time frame, we're but a blip in it. It took that long just to get on solid land. Then beyond that, it took hundreds of millions of years to develop into primates, and then for us to evolve into intelligent life and to be who we are now. The cognitive revolution, which is the point in history where human beings first became intelligent enough to develop organized civilization, cities, towns, stuff like that, was 70,000 years ago. And it's believed to be correlated with, one, a group of highly intelligent human beings relative to others at that time, breeding together and making even more intelligent human beings that made a whole generation of human beings smart enough to create civilized society. And two, to be correlated with developing a theory of mind that is outside yourself, believing in something bigger than yourself. To have abstraction and to see that tools can be used and to create buildings and stuff like that, you have to be able to see outside yourself. And that's believed to have happened about 70,000 years ago, which is correlated to some of the historic relics that we've found. One of the oldest historic relics that we've ever found is like a sculpture of a small bird-like being. Now, if that matters to you. But it is only within the last 200 years that we have developed our patterns enough as a society to where we send signals out into space, out into the ether. It's only been about 200 years, roughly. The first signal, like telecommunication signal, that scientists accept as being the first signal was sent out by Adolf Eichler. I don't want to say the full name because I'll get silenced by YouTube. Back in 1933, it was at the Olympics, I think it was. And this is shown in the movie Contact, based on Carl Sagan's book. That's believed to be the first signal, or right around there. We actually have signals that came before that, but that was like the first, hugely televised one. So about 200 years, we can say, before we develop something even more advanced that doesn't require a specific band of frequency to send a signal. That type of idea, because if you understand frequencies and signals, stuff like that, because I'm an electrical engineer, it's what I did when I was still writing scientific papers, then there are ways to make it so that you can actually send across the whole spectrum, and you can make your signals encrypted if you're just trying to look at a specific band of that spectrum. 200 years, let's say, on average, is about the time frame that it's being sent in a specific band. Now, we might not be looking at the right band at these other planets and whatnot, but even so, we look at specific sectors of that band everywhere. I wrote a little diagram of this, all right? Planet 1, Planet 2, Planet 3, all right? This little band right here, so we have the start of signals being sent is the very first moment that it's being sent out in a sphere from the planet. And then you have the terminus, is the end of a signal being sent from a planet. That whole range is the period of time, and it's different for every planet, in which you can actually see the signals that that civilization was sending. This is talked about a little bit in some of Melody Sheep's videos. One of the reasons I love Melody Sheep so much, because they're not only creating excellent content, but the guy doing it is extremely intelligent and knows what he's talking about. There's a little band there. Even with that short little band, if we are super conservative with the amount of time that a species would be sending it out, even with that, the number of stars that we've looked at so far, we should have, within a 50% probability, discovered a signal from another worldly species at this point. And we are at that precipice right now, where it's starting to look very weird that we haven't found a signal from another species yet. I posted a video on one of my previous channels before it was deleted, talking about how there are 8 signals within 30 to 90 light years that have recently been discovered using AI within signals that were looked at or data from other stars in that range. However, it has not been ruled out that they could be anomalies or just things like quasars, standard candle type of thing, where you have a black hole paired up with a giant star, and it's constantly eating up some of the material of the pair, the star pair, because it's actually most common to have a binary star system in the solar or in the universe, but it's sucking up that material, and then it explodes it out every once in a while once it gets to a critical mass. That's called a standard candle, and that can create a certain signal that could be misinterpreted. As an example, there's stuff like that out there. Quasars, neutron stars, magnetars, all that stuff. It has not been said if these signals are in fact what we think they are, or if they're not. 8 signals within 90 light years is a little bit more reasonable than what we were thinking before. Where's the information on this? Why haven't we heard anything? No updates. We haven't gotten any updates about it. This was back in March of 2023. So it's been a good 2 years, and we haven't gotten any updates. Something to think about, guys. That's what I got for you today. Think about what's happening in the world right now, and how maybe, just maybe, we're trying to set ourselves up to be able to handle what's to come. Love y'all. Peace.